The HOA president threw a birthday party for her son in my backyard without asking me, and the night before, I drained the entire pool dry. When she showed up with balloons cake and half the neighborhood behind her, she found nothing but cracked blue tiles and a father standing his ground. That was the day everything in our quiet suburb exploded, but to explain why I did it, I need to start at the beginning. My name's Eric Ryan. I'm a widowed dad raising my 10-year-old son, Jaden, in the house my wife and I built together. The backyard pool was her dream. Every detail from the stone pavers to the little waterfall was her creation. After she passed, that pool became our sanctuary, the only place where the silence didn't crush me. It was ours. Ours until Karen Davis decided it belonged to her. Karen was the HOA president, blonde, perfect smile, the type who hands out rules like candy and expects everyone to bow. Her son Leo was about Jaden's age. One Saturday, while Jaden was underwater doing handstands, Leo stood at our fence and announced in this nasal little voice, "My mom says we can use your pool whenever we want." I looked up from my chair, steady as stone, and said, "No, son, this is our pool. It's on my property. It's for my family." His face crumpled, and before I could say more, Karen's voice drifted over the fence, sweet as poison. "Leo, honey, stop bothering Mr. Ryan." Then she appeared all charm and perfect hair. "I'm so sorry, Eric," she cooed like we were best friends. But her eyes were scanning my yard, scanning my kid like she was taking inventory. That was the first red flag. The next week, gifts started arriving. A box of imported cookies. A brand new video game I had told Jaden he'd need to save his allowance for. Suddenly, my son was glowing, saying things like, "Karen gave me this, Leo didn't even want it." But I knew Leo wanted it. I'd heard him screaming for it last week. This wasn't generosity, this was strategy. Logistics, hearts, and minds. I'd spent years in the Army. I recognized a flanking maneuver when I saw one. I confronted her, walked up to her door one evening. She opened it in a silk robe, glass of wine in hand, surprised to see me. "Eric." "Everything okay?" she purred. I told her straight, no more gifts. "My son needs things from me, not from you." She smiled, tight, patronizing. "Oh, don't be so old-fashioned. It takes a village." That was the moment I knew she wasn't stopping. And then came the flyer. Jaden ran inside one afternoon, breathless, waving this glossy invitation. "Dad, guess what? Karen's throwing Leo's birthday party, and she wants to have it here in our pool." My stomach dropped. The flyer had a photo of our backyard. My pool with bold letters. Leo's splash bash at the Ryans. She'd already handed them out to the whole neighborhood. My own son looked up at me with shining eyes, whispering, "Isn't it awesome?" I wanted to burn that flyer. Instead, I knelt down, tried to explain, "This is our home. She can't just decide." But his face fell, tears welling up. "But you said it was ours. Now you're taking it away." She had set me up perfectly, forcing me to be the bad guy. That night he slammed his door on me, and for the first time since his mom died, the house felt broken again. I sat in the kitchen staring at that flyer. I felt like I was losing him. Maybe I was too strict, too cold. Maybe Karen was right. Maybe he did need more fun, more smiles. For a split second, I thought about giving in, letting it happen. What kind of father ruins his son's happiness over pride? But then, the image of Sarah flashed in my mind. She used to call me her quiet protector. I saw exactly what Karen was doing, and I realized if I gave in now, I'd lose Jaden completely. So I changed the battlefield. Late that night, I set up the pump, dropped the hoses in, and drained every gallon of water from that pool. 6,000 gallons an hour, humming through the night until the tiles gleamed under the moon. It felt brutal, like I was killing something sacred, but it was the only way to cut her weapon out of her hands. The next day, the party convoy rolled up. Minivans painted with happy birthday. Leo kids with pool noodles' parents hauling coolers. Karen strutted through my side gate cake in her hands, calling out, "Let's get this party started." And then, dead stop. Everyone froze at the sight of the empty basin. The pool was a pale wound in the sun dust swirling at the bottom. The look on Karen's face, her smile collapsed like wet plaster. Someone whispered, "Is this modern art?" A balloon popped. Her son screamed. Then Karen snapped. She shoved past me, nearly dropped the cake, grabbed a pool noodle, and smacked my shoulder with it. "He assaulted me," she shrieked, eyes wild. Parents stared. Phones were recording. I just stood there, calm. Arms crossed, private property. The party isn't here. It should have ended there. But Karen wasn't done. 2 days later, Child Protective Services knocked on my door. Anonymous report I was neglecting Jaden, isolating him, preventing him from having friends. My stomach turned cold. She hadn't just tried to hijack my backyard, she was trying to steal my son with paperwork and lies. I sat with the caseworker, told her about Sarah, about Jaden, about our life. Showed her our allergy plan on the fridge, his room full of Legos, his drawings on the walls. She spoke to Jaden alone, and I paced the kitchen like a caged animal. What if he told her he liked Karen more? What if she believed the charm and not the truth? When the caseworker finally returned, she said, "He loves you very much. You're doing your best." Relief hit me so hard my knees almost gave out. But then she warned, "You're on the radar now. One more report and it gets serious." That night, I couldn't sleep. I ordered security cameras, body cams, trackers. I knew Karen wasn't finished. And I was right. A few weeks later, the school called early release day and I'd missed pickup. Panic ripped through me. I raced to the school. Jaden was gone. The supervisor said he'd been signed out by Karen Davis. My blood went ice cold. She'd forged the emergency contact card. This wasn't meddling anymore. This was kidnapping. I called 911 and drove straight to her house. Police arrived as I was pounding the steering wheel, ready to kick her door in. When they confronted her, she played innocent, claiming she was helping poor Jaden because I'd forgotten. My boy stood behind her, pale, clutching a cookie, whispering, "Dad." My heart nearly burst. She tried to keep her hand on his shoulder, but when the officer asked Jaden directly, "Do you want to go with your dad?" he nodded. She shoved him forward with venom dripping from her voice. "Fine, go back to your sad broken father." That was the moment I knew she would never stop. The restraining order only fueled her obsession. She even called me with a distorted voice, "Jaden needs a mother. I'm going to save him from you." That was when I stopped playing defense. I set a trap. I took Jaden to the park. Cameras rolling, police nearby. Karen showed up in a floppy hat, sunglasses, like some bad disguise. She crept closer, stepped right into the restricted zone, sat beside my son and pulled out a container of brownies. "Your favorite," she said sweetly, "with extra nuts." Time froze. Nuts. Jaden's lethal allergy. She knew. She'd seen the medical forms. Whether it was ignorance or malice, I'll never know. But she shoved the brownie toward him anyway. My son shook his head. Panicked. "I can't." She snapped, mask cracking. "Don't be difficult. Your father's making you paranoid." That's when I sprinted, yelling, "Get away from my son!" She shoved the brownie into his hand, crumbs smearing his skin. He rubbed his eyes, and within seconds his face flushed, breath-hitching. My body moved on instinct. EpiPen out, jabbed into his thigh. While I held him, trembling, police swarmed Karen, catching her mid-flight. She was screaming, twisting. Claiming she was innocent, but the cameras had it all. That was the end. Charges, stacked up violation of restraining order, reckless endangerment assault. The HOA board met and ripped the presidency from her hands, neighbors spilling every dirty secret she'd hidden, misused funds, intimidation, bullying. Her power evaporated overnight. I watched from my window as a moving truck carried her life away. Her husband, stone-faced, her child gone to relatives. She never looked at me again. And me, I stood there holding my son close, knowing one thing for certain. Some battles aren't about pools or rules or property lines, they're about drawing the line and refusing to let anyone cross it. Never let control disguised as kindness steal what you love.